Hey everybody, welcome back for a new semester and welcome to the Representation and Visualization 3 course. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kellen Roth. I'll be your instructor for the online section of this class. In this video, I just want to do a quick walkthrough of the Canvas course page, just so everybody is familiar with where everything is. I know it's a new platform and things are a little bit different and there's probably going to be a little bit of a learning curve. But I'm just going to walk you through how I have everything set up so that we're ready to go on the first day. So we're going to start off here on the course page. So whenever you load up Canvas and you open the course, this is what you'll see. Here's the home page, and right here under course introduction, this is where I'm going to have the video that I'm currently recording. So if you need to go back and watch it, this is where it's going to be. Below that, we have our course modules. So all of these are links to the different modules we'll be covering throughout the course. There's going to be a total of 4 of them, and I'm going to be updating them on a weekly basis, sort of like I've done in the past with other courses. Really quickly, I'm just going to enter the student view to give you a better idea of what you'll see on your end. So if you go to these modules and click on them, that's going to take you to this module view, and you'll see here module 1, Revit Parametric Families. Under week 1, I have a lecture. You can just click on that and then you'll be able to see the lecture video. It's not available at the moment, but basically anything that is listed here under the week, those are all the things you're going to have to do for that week. So then maybe on week 2 there will be a quiz or something like that. And then on week 3 there will be an assignment due. So you can just go to the home page and then access everything that you need for those different modules from this home page. If you click on something that's not open yet, it'll take you to it, but everything will be grayed out, and it will let you know the date that it's going to open up. Okay, so just make sure you're staying on top of all the weeks and going to the correct module and watching the correct lectures and everything like that. Next, I'm going to walk you guys through the course syllabus and schedule. So over here on the left side, you'll be able to get to the syllabus. There's going to be 2 documents here. So the first one is the syllabus, and if you scroll down, here's the schedule. All right, so there's 2 sections of this class. There's the in-person section, which Dalton Klein is teaching, and then I'm going to be teaching the online section, which is what we are. So for our course, this is going to be totally asynchronous. So there's not going to be any set meet times. And then everything is going to be totally remote, except I might end up doing a workshop partway through the semester, sort of to cover the VR equipment that we're going to be using. They have a VR lab at the CAED building. So if possible, I want to maybe try to get us in there one day to kind of try out the hardware and see what it can do so that you guys are familiar with it if you end up using that for presentations down the line. But let's go ahead and just get into sort of the course description. So this course builds on the fundamentals that you learned in the previous digital applications courses. So first you had Digital Apps 1 in the fall. That's now been renamed to Rep and Vis 1. And then the second course was 3D modeling and rendering, and that is now Rep and Vis 2. So this is Rep and Vis 3, which is going to build on everything that we've kind of learned in those first 2 courses. This is going to focus on advanced 3D modeling and rendering workflows, and then also the second part of the course is more focused on CD set production. So in the first part, we're going to look a lot more at the different applications that we've already been learning. We're going to learn a couple new applications, and then we're going to look at some of the rendering plugins that you can use with those applications to make more high-end renderings. And then the second part of the course, again, that's going to be covering the CD set production. So we're going to review sort of what goes into a CD set, and then also how you use Revit and some other tools to create everything that goes into the CD set. So for the course learning outcomes, You'll be able to demonstrate an understanding of how to use advanced rendering tools and techniques, present design solutions using VR technology. That's going to be a big one. So in the past, we haven't really covered VR too much, but with this course, we're trying to change that and focus more on emerging technologies. So learning how VR is tied in with sort of the modern design process is going to be really key. And that's something we'll be getting into probably halfway through the course, I would say. Being able to apply mixed media techniques in design presentations. So this is going to be teaching you to understand when you should use a certain piece of software or technique to produce a certain type of presentation drawing. For example, are you going to use like a full-on rendering plugin and make a full, nicely rendered perspective, or do you just need something simpler like a diagram, for example, something that's more graphic? We're gonna learn to understand what tools that you will need to use based on the goals that you're going for with the different types of presentations that you'll be doing, and how to use all those different tools together. And then lastly, we're going to, like I said, prepare a CD set based on a design project. So most likely this is going to be based on like an old studio project that you guys have already done. We'll probably just use that and then generate like a CD set from that. So the required software for the course, Autodesk Revit 2021 or older. So this is going to be really important because, as I mentioned in the past, Revit has issues in terms of compatibility. So you cannot open a newer Revit file on an older version of Revit. So if you were to make something in Revit 2022 and I had Revit 2021, I would not be able to open that. So for this course, you're going to need to have Revit 2021 or older. For other courses, if you want to use newer versions, that's fine. But for everything that we do here, make sure that you're doing it in 2021 or older so that I can open it. And that shouldn't be too big of a deal because I think you should all have 2021 installed from last year, hopefully. AutoCAD. So we might not get into AutoCAD too much, but we're probably just going to use that more as like sort of like a general workflow type thing. So sometimes AutoCAD can be helpful in the initial phases of the design process just for concept generation. So we might be using AutoCAD for that purpose and then carrying it over into Revit. So make sure that you have that installed just in case we get into that. And we might also talk about CD set production a little bit in AutoCAD, but the focus is mostly going to be on Revit. SketchUp. So SketchUp hasn't been taught really in the past at Kent, but that's something that I want to change with this class. So I'm going to introduce us to SketchUp. SketchUp is great because it's so versatile and it's also so user-friendly and approachable. Like, it's deceptively simple. If you've used it in the past, you might understand what I'm talking about. But for somebody who's never used it, they might think that SketchUp is just like a toy, basically. Like, it can't do too much, but it's actually like super widely used throughout the industry. A lot more so than like Rhino, in my opinion. And it can do so much. And I use it like all the time. So that's something that we're going to cover. I do believe that they have like a trial that you can do. So maybe like a week trial or like a month-long trial. But when we get to the SketchUp module, you're going to need to either sign up for that trial or purchase the 1-year student license. So this is the link where you can go to purchase that license from, but it's just for a year and it's only $55, so it's not too bad. You're also going to need Enscape for Revit and SketchUp. So if any of you have not used Enscape before, it's just a really awesome rendering plugin that you can use for SketchUp, Revit, and Rhino. So I'm going to be walking you through that, how to use it like in a more advanced way, like if you have used it in the past, because that's what I use professionally, like exclusively. So I'm pretty good at it. I know a lot about Enscape. So hopefully I'll be able to like share everything that I know about it with you guys and get you using all of its features and everything like to the fullest extent. So you're going to need to download Enscape. There might be some compatibility issues with some of your computers. So if that's the case, you're going to have to let me know like right away. Like if you download it and try to run it and it gives you errors, like get in touch with me as soon as you can, because we'll have to work something out and try to get you access in some other method, because that's something that we're going to need to use. So yeah, just download it and then try to run it inside of Revit first and let me know if it gives you an error. But if it just boots up right away, then you should be good to go. Rhino, you are probably not going to need Rhino that much. I don't know how deep we're going to get into it in this class. If at all, I'm probably just going to like mention the way that you could take models from Rhino to Revit, sort of like cover that workflow a little bit and clear that up so that you understand how they work together and the correct process for doing that. But we're not going to be doing any Rhino specific projects. So if you don't have that installed, it's probably not going to be like the end of the world. But if you do have it installed, that's great. Photoshop, we're definitely going to be using Photoshop, so make sure you have that. And then the last one is Adobe Acrobat. This is included with the Creative Cloud subscription. So if you have Photoshop, you should have access to Acrobat as well. So make sure you install that, because once we get into like the CD stuff, we're going to be doing a lot of work with PDF files, and Adobe Acrobat is really great for like editing and just changing things about PDFs. So make sure you get that so that we can manage our PDF files the way that we need to. So we're going to talk a little bit about the grades and evaluation now. You're going to be evaluated based on a combination of lab assignments and also quizzes. So very similar to past courses that I've taught. If you've taken courses with me before, I'm going to have a series of lab assignments. There's going to be one per module, and then there's also going to be one quiz per module as well. So if you look at the breakdown that I have here, we're going to have 4 quizzes. Each of those will be 10 points. The purpose of the quizzes is, one, to give you a little bit of a grade buffer, so you don't have to rely only on your scores on the bigger assignments, so the labs. If you do poorly on some of these, the quizzes will help you out a little bit. Also, it's to make sure that you are staying engaged with the course and keeping on top of like all the lecture content that I'm going to be putting out. So if you've taken classes with me before, you know that I like to pull quiz questions from my lectures that I give. And the purpose of that is to make sure that you're just staying engaged with the course and on top of all the lectures, and you're actually watching them. So since we're not using like a textbook or anything for this class, it's going to be really important that you're focusing on what I'm saying during the lectures and understanding all that material that I'm explaining to you. So I'm going to be pulling things that I mentioned in the lectures and putting those into these quizzes. And they're just only going to be like 10 question quizzes, nothing too crazy. But again, it's just to make sure that you're following along and keeping on track. So if you want to do well in the quizzes, make sure that you're watching the lectures closely and understanding what I'm saying. And if you need to go back and watch them a few times, you know, that's the beautiful thing about doing this all asynchronously, is you can always go back and rewatch everything if you start to forget something. So those will always be there for you to go back and rewatch. Another thing with my lectures is I know that they can get pretty long sometimes. The reason for that is just because since this is typically like taught as an in-person lab type class, what you normally have is twice a week you're meeting for like 2.5 hours. But since we can't do that online, I just record like all the content within one lecture per week. So those tend to be pretty long and drawn out since there's so much stuff that I have to get through and cover in those videos. So I know that they take kind of a long time to watch, and it might be easy to get distracted or not pay attention to everything that's being said in the lectures. So in that case, I recommend maybe watching it on a faster speed. All the videos I upload are through YouTube, so you should be able to go down to the bottom corner and click on like the little gear icon, and you can watch the video maybe at like 1.5 speed or something like that to get through it a little bit quicker. Also, you should be able to turn on the closed captioning if you need to, so that you can kind of read what I'm saying. That could help you clear things up a little bit. And also, you don't have to watch it all in one sitting, obviously. So it might work for you to kind of chunk it out throughout the week. So if I post like maybe an hour-long lecture, just choose 3 days a week to watch 20 minutes of that lecture. You don't have to do it all in one sitting, because if you do, it's going to be a lot harder because you won't be able to like remember every single thing that I'm saying. So kind of just space it out. And if you want to rewatch things throughout the week and go back and refresh yourself toward the end of the week, you can do that. Grading scale, so this is pretty standard throughout all your classes in the college. 93 and above is going to be an A. You got to get at least a D to pass the class. Course enrollment, that's just standard stuff. As for the expectations, I'm going to expect you to check the course or the Canvas course page at least weekly. I mean, it's probably going to have to be daily, but I'm going to be updating everything like every week. So, multiple times throughout the week, you should be interacting with the Canvas course, making sure that you're up to date on all the assignments and that you have everything completed that you need to. Oh, I forgot to mention my office hours. So let me scroll up here really quick. My office hour is going to be by appointment only. What I've done in the past is, if you have questions or something, I give you my cell phone number. So you can just text me or you can email me anytime. Just make sure it's not like some crazy time like, midnight on a Sunday or something. I'm taking classes too, so it might be hard for me some days to get back to you like right away. But if you have any questions, just make sure that you're like texting or emailing me and asking me. And then we can set up like a virtual Zoom meeting if you need me to like look at your screen or your project and help you out with it. I've done that for other students in the past, and it seems to work pretty well. So if you get confused on something, I can like take control of your mouse and kind of like show you what you need to be clicking on or what you need to do. But that works pretty well. So if anything ever comes up, if there's any concerns, just let me know. And if we can't solve it over like a simple text or email conversation, we can set up just like a Zoom meeting, and I will help you out that way. And it doesn't have to be just for this class either. If you have questions about any of your other classes, I'm more than happy to help you out in any way that I can and sort of like explain what I know. So yeah, that's how we're going to do that. Going back to where we were before, let's see. With this being a computer class, you're probably going to run into tech-related issues. So make sure that you are making me aware of any of those issues as soon as you can, if anything comes up. That's just going to help us avoid any conflicts with like assignment deadlines or anything. If you notice that like an application isn't installing or your computer crashes or something like that, you need to let me know right away so that I can give you like the maximum amount of flexibility. Like, I'm willing to work with you if you are willing to keep that line of communication open between us and just be really transparent. So just let me know if something comes up, and that's totally fine. But if you don't, then it's going to be harder for me to like give you that flexibility. So You know, say your computer breaks and you have to take it to the Geek Squad or something and you're not going to have it for a couple days, that's fine. I can work with you on that, but you just got to like make sure that I'm aware. Okay. Assignment due dates. So according to the official policy, if it's later than 3 days, I'm not going to accept it. You need to make sure that you're staying on top of the assignment deadline. I will have flexibility here and there, but just make sure that you're staying on top of it. And if something like comes up that it's going to be really hard for you to submit, that I mean, I get it. Like I understand, and I'm willing to be flexible in those cases. But just make sure that we're not making a habit of it. But if you foresee some sort of like a conflict that's going to hinder your ability to get something turned in, just make sure that I'm aware of it like in advance. Okay. Behavior, attendance. So since this is an online course, like I'm not going to be recording attendance, but you're going to need to make sure that you're participating and taking all of your quizzes and everything. Doing all of your work that I have assigned to you is basically going to be your attendance. Okay. So just make sure you're staying on top of everything. Academic integrity. So with this being a digital course, it's going to be tempting to like want to share files with each other if you didn't get something done. That's something that I've run into a lot in the past in other classes, and I know that's very tempting and it's easy to do, but just make sure that you're not doing it. One, I can find out if you do it, and I have the right to report you to student conduct if I feel like I need to, or I can refer you to the dean because it's considered cheating. So just make sure that you're not doing it. Like in our field, we're not really writing papers as much. We're doing these projects digitally. So everything that we do is like a digital file, not like a paper. We're not typing things out. So even though it's not plagiarism in the typical sense, copying somebody else's work is technically plagiarism. So just make sure you're not doing it because I will be checking closely and I will be able to find out, especially since this is only like 30 people in this class compared to 60 people in the past. I'll be looking at things a little bit closer. So just make sure you're being honest and you're doing everything on your own. I think that's about it for the syllabus. So I'm going to hop over here to the course schedule. Let's see. Okay, so basically this course is going to be broken down into 4 different modules, and this is just a tentative schedule. So if I determine that we need to move some things around here and there as we go, like spend more time on one module than the other, I'm just going to make some changes to this and re-update the schedule, and I'll let you know if that's the case, but it should stay pretty close to what I have here, hopefully. So our 4 modules we'll be doing are first the Revit. We're going to do a Revit review, and then we're going to talk about parametric family creation. After that, we're going to get into SketchUp, and then third is going to be Enscape and VR, and then the last one is going to be the construction documents. So for the first module, we're just going to be kind of reviewing things on the first week. The second week is we're going to start a actual assignment. We're going to work through that together, and then we're going to have a quiz most likely on week 2. And all the quiz stuff is just going to be talking about what we've been reviewing in Revit. And then at the end of the module, that's when our lab assignment will be due. Next, we're going to get into SketchUp. That one we're probably going to spend a little bit less time on. We'll see. We might make that 3 weeks. We might not. It just depends on how things are kind of going at that point. But we're going to basically just do an overview of SketchUp and like learn what SketchUp is good for and how to use it, best practices, that type of thing. And then hopefully the second week of that module, I'll talk a little bit about how you can use SketchUp with Revit in conjunction and kind of work between the two a little bit. And then we'll have just a little assignment that is due for that module. Then the third module, which is Enscape, I'm going to just do a basic overview of Enscape the first week. Second week, we're going to get more detailed into like material material creation and also rendering production. And then the last week of that module is when we'll talk about virtual reality. So that might be the week that we try to get into the virtual reality lab. I'll have to see. That may or may not happen at all, but it's just a option that I want to leave open if people are interested in getting in there. And then the final week, or final module, that's going to be the CD set. So first, we're going to start out with just a basic introduction of CD sets, like what they are and like what all needs to go into the CD set. A lot of that should be review. After that, we'll talk about the different drawings that we'll be creating and kind of doing some of them together. So plans, elevations, and sections. We'll have another quiz. And then the final week is a little bit shorter, and that's going to be details and schedules most likely. And then at the end of that module is when the final CD set's going to be due. So the CD set is going to be, like I said, tied back to one of your projects you've already done. So probably something from Studio, either that you are working on at the time of the module or something that you've done in the past. We'll probably pull from and have you create a CD set from that. Also, if you look at the schedule, this class is a little bit shorter than your other classes that you'll be taking. So typically they're full 15-week courses. This one is only like 11, really 10 weeks because the last week isn't even a full week. And also this week is not even a full week. So it's really only like 10 weeks that we'll be together. So things are going to be moving pretty quickly. So make sure that you're just like staying on top of everything. Like I said, it's going to be really important that you're not getting behind on any of your deadlines because there's not a ton of grades in this class and you definitely don't want to be getting behind on things. But like I said, that schedule, this is all tentative. It's all going to be updated. So if anything changes, I will update it here and I'll let you know that things have changed and I'll keep you in the loop. The last thing that I want to talk about is sort of the announcements. So they aren't shown here right now on this bar, but you should see an announcements link here on your end. Let me actually reset this. So you should see this announcements page. If you've taken a class with me in the past, what I did was every week I would kind of post an announcement that kind of explained everything that was within the content for that week. So you knew what assignments were due, what lectures you needed to watch, and if there are any quizzes or anything like that. So I'm going to be doing that again here on Canvas. So every week I'll be creating an announcement and I'll just be putting everything in there like week 1, this is everything you need to do on week 1. Make sure that you have all this done by this day to make sure that you're caught up for week 2. And then I'll just do that for every single week. So that way that'll help you stay on top of everything. So I think that's pretty much it for this video, everything that I wanted to cover. Like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me throughout the semester, either by email or text. Again, we can set up a Zoom call anytime if you need extra help on something. Totally willing to do that. Just make sure you're staying on top of things. And hopefully you all have a great semester and hopefully you enjoy the course.